I'm the person that you're telling about the brand. You don't have to look at the camera.
Sure.
Over here. Oh yeah. Perfect.
Perfect.
So whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hi, my name is Brian Stewart. I'm the National Brand Ambassador for Belvedere Vodka, and I wanted to talk to you about these 3 bottles. Maybe one of them looks very familiar, the other 2, maybe not, but we're gonna get to know them really well. This is Belvedere Vodka. It's a Polish rye vodka, and the great thing about Polish vodka is Poland's one of the only vodka appellations in the world, meaning that they care so much about their vodka that they put very strict rules and regulations around them. So just like how champagne has to come from Champagne, France, or tequila has to come from Tequila, Mexico, in order to be a Polski vodka, everything for this base spirit has to be grown, produced, fermented, distilled, and bottled in Poland. This bottle has to be made in Poland. That cap has to be made in Poland. It all has to happen in Poland. Why? Because they love their vodka. It's part of their heritage. It's part of who they are, so they take it very seriously. Another great thing about this appellation is that while everything for the base spirit has to be grown and produced in Poland, you're not allowed to add anything artificial or sugars to this bottle. And why would you add sugars to a bottle that's unflavored? Well, anywhere else in the world that's not Poland, you can take a 1-liter bottle of vodka and you can add up to 100 milliliters of sugars, glycerin, flavoring, unnatural flavors, whatever you want to the bottle, and you don't have to say anything about it on the bottle. In Poland, we can't do that. It's illegal. So everything that's in these bottles is just rye and water, which gives us all of our flavor. Your vodka has flavor. It's something you should get to know because a lot of the times vodka is known as odorless and tasteless, and that's just not true. Even the really inexpensive vodkas that we don't consider to be great have a flavor. Might not be a great flavor, but it's a flavor. They all have different flavors and they should get to know what they are. We distill with rye because of the flavor that it gives us. The best way I can put this is if you take a piece of rye bread versus a piece of white bread, a piece of rye bread is gonna have a lot more flavor to it. It's gonna have a lot more character, and that's why we use rye. In the particular instance of this particular bottle, it tells our story. It tells us who we are as a company. The Belvedere bottle was the very first to have a frosted overlay. One very short year later, a French wheat vodka came to market with geese flying across it. It's a lovely bottle. They have nothing to do with us. We have nothing to do with them, but it's fun to mention. We also have through the window here the Belvedere Palace. This is a symbol and strength of the Poland people. We had to ask permission of the Polish government to put this image onto our bottle. They took a look at our operation, what we were doing, and they gave us the blessing to adore this beautiful palace on our bottle. The trees that surround the palace are known as silver birch trees. While they're gorgeous, they actually serve a purpose for us. We use these trees to create our charcoal to filter the vodka. And then here you have the Belvedere Blue. The Belvedere Blue is a representation of where we're distilled from. In a sleepy little town called Jarotów, which is about 45 minutes southeast of Warsaw, the capital city, it used to produce a lot of linen. And with linen, you get flaxseed blue flowers. And that's why we use that particular blue. But the bottle's only as good as the liquid inside of it. So with this bottle, if you were to have a nice clean sip of this, you would notice right up front beautiful aromas of vanilla, a slight bit of star anise, and finished with pepper right on the end, giving you lots of beautiful layers of flavor. The reality is that it goes perfectly with anything. It makes a great martini. It goes really well with grapefruit citrus or on the rocks. We always like to refer to this one kind of as our Swiss Army knife of vodka. While these other 2 have a particular purpose, this one goes really great with just about anything. We get our rye from 8 different farmers throughout Poland. They actually produce our first liquid. That liquid then comes to us at Belvedere, and we redistill that liquid to produce this. That's also very common in vodka, to produce the liquid somewhere else and then brought to your distillery. The reason why a lot of people don't talk about it is because a lot of the times they don't know where that liquid's coming from, or they don't have a relationship with the farmer. We do. We know them very well. Sorry.
Farmer back there?
Did I do something wrong?
I thought you were like pointing at something.
No,
Okay, all right. What was I saying? Yes, so the liquid, distilled, blah, 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 farmers, we know them very well. But that's what makes up this bottle. It's absolutely outstanding. But just like anything in the bar world, if you don't innovate, you die. And these 2 bottles are our perfect example of innovation. This was Belvedere's chance to yet showcase again our commitment to showing flavor and character in vodka and what it can be. These are the first ever single estate vodkas that are based on terroir. Terroir is a catch-all term used for a particular crop that's grown in a certain area, and depending on the area's surroundings, such as being weather or soil or climate, you have a different end result. These are no different. They are produced by 2 single estates that are separated by 310 miles. It's not a huge difference, but the areas are wildly different in the sense. The first one is Lake Bardejek. very far to the north, kind of affected by the Baltic Sea, where they get these crashing, whipping cold winds that really cool down the area for most of winter. They're covered in snow 80 days out of the year. They have a beautiful summer and spring, but it's very short and mild. The gentleman who oversees this estate, his name is Jan. Jan's as tall as he is handsome, is the best way I can kind of put that. He's also a family man. His estate is run by his family. His daughter loves to practice her English to Polish whenever we're there and vice versa. His son helps to cultivate the rye in the fields, and his wife is the gatekeeper of everything. But Jan, all he does is grow our Diamond Downakowski rye. It's his passion. It's what he does. His farm has been in his family for generations, so he is one of our experts, and we rely on him for that. This particular region produces a rye that has to go for a very hard winter. So hard, in fact, that during the middle of this winter, if you wanted to unearth the soil, you would need machinery. The soil is so frozen. But the rye loves it. It strives. It's where it starts to develop its character. If you were to have a sip of this, you would notice lemongrass, a little bit of some menthol and cooling notes, and a lighter palate to the sense of kind of the texture of it. Now, 310 miles to the southwest, you'd have the Smigori Forest. The Smigori Forest is a very important place, not just to Poland, but also to the world. It's protected by the Green Lung Association of the EU. And the reason for that being is that the air quality is so outstanding that people actually live longer on average in this part of the world. And that's not because they're drinking a green juice or hopping on an elliptical. It's because they're not exposed to the same type of chemicals that we see in our air on a daily basis. And that's because of the forest. The forest is so dense and producing so much oxygen that it actually takes the area from the surrounding towns and filters it through the tops of the trees. So you're just left with this pristine, beautiful, crisp air. The soil itself in these two particular regions, not that great, but there are parts of the soil that have a classification of 0, which means it's never ever seen a man-made pesticide or chemical in its entire existence of farming. Simply put, it's just soil from the earth, which is outstanding. Again, our rye strives in this particular type of soil. They do see a winter. It is Poland, of course, but it's not as harsh as Lake Bartoszek. They do have a much drawn out spring and summer that's much more mild. But if you were to have a sip of this, you would notice a bolder expression of Belvedere, almost more chewy on the texture. It has hints of salted caramel, star anise, toasted bread, and it finishes with a white pepper. The goal here was not to make one vodka better than the other. The goal was to just showcase what vodka can taste like, and also to showcase where our rye is grown and by who is growing it will affect the flavor in the end. It really allows for a vodka drinker to expand and enjoy the category on a much different level, but it also helps to expand the category to people who think it's odorless and tasteless. It's just not true. They all have different flavors, they all have different expressions, and they have great meanings of flavor and taste. With the Lake Bartoszek, it applies itself better to more kind of gin-style cocktails, where the Smigori Forest has a tendency to be a little bit more in whiskey style, more bold style cocktails. They're designed to be on the rocks or neat, but they make for really great elevated cocktails. At the end of the day, Belvedere's mission is to expand people's mind on what this category can be, and to break the mold that vodka is odorless and tasteless. It's just not true. But that's Belvedere vodka.
Nice.
Crushed it.
I know. You've done this